Let's start the list with number 8, Power Ponies. Power Ponies is written by Megan McCarthy, Charlotte Fullerton, and Betsy McGowan. Spike and his friends get sucked into a enchanted comic book, turning them all into Power Ponies. The Maniac is intended to turn all of Metropolis into haired-crazed maniacs. The Power Ponies need Spike's help more than he realized if they ever hope to escape the comic book. So we start with the list by adding the second Nightmare Night special of the 4th season into last place. And don't get me wrong about where I placed it, because yes, I do love this episode that features the characters turning into DC superheroes that we know and love, or if you want to say Marvel characters, then I guess it's okay, but the layout isn't like New York, more like Arkham. We start the episode with Spike reading the comic book that he found that will be entailed by the end of the episode. It's so devastating that you wouldn't believe it. Meanwhile, Twilight is trying to get some sleep, only to get interrupted by Spike's antics into the superhero stuff, so she gave him 2 more minutes to read. Then we cut to an old abandoned castle of the 2 sisters where the main 6 is making the castle look fresh and refurbished, which eventually does become the main 6's new stomping ground. Spike wanted to help out though no pony wanted him to contribute, so Twilight told him to read his comic book somewhere else. Spike then finished reading his comic book and got frustrated when the ending of the book didn't have a certain ending. Trust me, Spike, we all felt that when reading the comic book, and in every book there is a to be continued labeling on it. So frustrating. Spike finds a small print in the last page of the comic book that says you can return it to a place where the maniac is defeated. Take a closer look to join the adventure in this book. Confused as he was, Spike got sucked into the book just as the main 6 saw Spike. All except Pinkie Pie got sucked into the book. So, how come she didn't feel any effect of the book? Like, what the hell? We then get transported into this world, which can be described as the Metropolis of this fiction, but it was called Metropolis. We see Spike become like Robin, but his superhero name is Humdrum, and the main 6 turning into superheroes. Twilight is Mass Matterhorn, Pinkie is Phyllis Second, Rainbow Dash is Zap, Rarity is Radiance. That's not me saying that she's radiant, that's literally her superhero name. Applejack is Mistress Malevus, and Fluttershy is Saddle Ranger, together making the Power Ponies. So we got a classic episode of the good ponies fighting against the forces of evil, in which case Maniac, who I enjoyed watching in this episode, was the green-haired pony that was first established before another certain green-haired character entered into the frame. Our newfound heroes was then in a pickle because their newfound powers were unbeknownst to them and then got tangled into a big tornado that caused by Zap. Yes, I'm going by their superheroes now in this one. While our heroes was going for a wild ride, Humdrum did somehow claim the electro orb that Maniac was carrying around in her big poison-ivy mane. But like a clumsy little sidekick that he is, he drops it and she takes it back. Nice going, Humdrum. You could have been the Batman in the comic book, but instead you fell over your own cape. No capes. We then cut to a factory that looks to belong to Radiance again. Unbeknownst to Rarity, in the comic book form that she didn't know she owned a shampoo factory. The Power Ponies encountered Maniac's henchmen and then eased them off with style, leaving them to face off against Maniac. Unfortunately, Maniac had a trick in her mane and poured out the hairspray of doom, which basically makes them stiff and not being able to fully move. They got taken inside the factory and got kept in this cage where the spray was still applying them to not move. So our heroes was captured and defeated, was slowly creeping up to them, and Maniac used her orb to power up her cannon so that her mane will become more powerful, I guess? Just as Maniac was about to use the cannon, Saddle Ranger brought it up to her that she's forgotten one particular pony. But hang on, isn't Spike a... Oh, I see. Maniac doesn't pay any mind to the dragon, but Mass Matterhorn gives her inspiration speak to her number one assistant, and Humdrum got back into the fight. Speaking of which, Humdrum began to sneakily use the cape on 2 pairs of chain to wrap the henchmen up and freezing them with the hairspray of doom. Our heroes then broke out the cage and started to fight against the evil forces, showcasing their true powers. However, there was one pony we didn't see their powers come to fruition, and that is Saddle Ranger. She wasn't going to use her powers at all. Nothing at all, and I mean nothing, is going to... Oh my god, did you just swat that firefly out of nowhere? Holy crap! Seeing how that firefly was hurt really made Saddle Ranger really mad. And oh boy, her powers, that was shown for the first time, was the best for last. She absolutely hulked up and destroyed the heck out of the cannon. And somehow a cannon shot was backfired onto her mane to get tangled up. Oh my goodness. We then returned to Equestria, where the main 6 and Spike are back to normal life. Twilight did ask Spike where he got the comic book from, and he said that he found it in the House of Enchanted comic. Everypony shrugged it off and laughed at the comic book disappearance, closing the episode. Now, overall, this was a pretty good episode, and the really great build-up one, really, to what we were going to see from Fluttershy. It was a case of like, oh, is she going to do it or not? But when something happens that she cares for, even in Mother Nature, she was to bulk up that anger and unleash hellfire onto those who harmed her friends. So yes, great episode overall. Loved the antagonist in this episode, who was Maniac. Definitely gave me Gloriosa vibes. But this episode was established before Gloriosa came into the picture and everything. But yeah, really good classic episode of good guys fighting bad guys in the comic books that we know of. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get down to number 7. We then got transported into a world where we can be described as the metropolis. What? We then